I love this comic book, The Walking Dead, book number 23. Rick has an emotionally charged conversation. It's more yelling and screaming, really, with Tyreese and accuses him of being responsible for Carol's attempted suicide. Tyreese punches Rick and tells him not to say that again. Instead of backing down, Rick continues and increases his intensity, saying Tyreese practically slit Carol's wrists for her. Tyreese kicks Rick out of his cell, but immediately breaks down in tears, denying any culpability or responsibility in Carol's mishap, and apologizing for losing his temper with Rick. Rick tells Tyreese that he will bear the blame if Carol dies, and warns Tyreese not to punch him again. Tyreese accuses Rick of having gone insane, but Rick responds by recalling how brutally Tyreese murdered Chris. Tyreese claims he killed Chris not out of rage, but in cold blood, simply finishing the job Chris had started in the botched suicide pact with Julie. But he admits he let Chris reanimate so he could continue punishing the corpse. Glenn and Maggie appear on the scene as Rick asks Tyreese if he feels ashamed to be a murderer. Glenn steps in and tries to calm the two down. Tyreese says he feels no shame over killing Chris for killing his daughter, and counters by recalling Rick's own murder of Dexter, which Rick defends as justifiable because Dexter intended to kick their group out of the prison. Tyreese then brings up Rick's mutilation of Alan. Pushing Tyreese against the balcony railing, Rick says he only cut off Alan's leg to try and save his life. Tyreese punches Rick again and asks if Rick means to kill him too. Rick maintains that he is not a killer, but Tyreese tells him he's acting like one. Suddenly, Rick passes out and falls over the railing to the cell block floor below, and Tyreese sustains a foot injury jumping down after him. Glenn and Maggie tell the men to stop fighting, but Tyreese already has and just wants to see if Rick is okay. Rick wakes up and kicks Tyreese in the face, yelling that Tyreese called him a killer, but then turned around and tried to kill him by pushing him over the rail. Tyreese explains that Rick simply blacked out and fell, but Rick refuses to believe him. Rick tells Tyreese to stay down because they're not done yet. Lori comes running down the stairs, and Glenn fills her in on what has happened. Lori asks Rick if he thinks he has suffered any broken bones, and he says it feels like it. Lori tries to help him to his feet, but Rick falls right back down. He sits up, and Rick declares to Tyreese that everything he does is intended for the good of the group. Andrea comes downstairs and tells them that Alan has died. Rick says he'll handle the task of shooting Alan to keep the dead man from returning as a zombie, and sarcastically asks if Tyreese thinks he'd enjoy that too much. Rick limps off alone to dispatch Alan, and the others hear the subsequent gunshot. Herschel and Michonne come to Alan's room to tell Rick that Carol will recover from her self-inflicted injuries. Before Rick can respond to the good news, however, he abruptly passes out again. Most of this book is an action-packed fight between Rick and Tyreese. Emotions are supercharged. Tyreese is still processing Carol and his relationship ending, even though he seems to have immediately moved on to Michonne. Rick is furious because he is protective of his original group and is horrified at learning why Carol tried to kill herself. One punch turns into many. I would guess both men have some broken bones at this point. The fight moves out of the cell and in front of everyone. Both men's dirty laundry or skeletons in the closet are fully exposed. Tyreese murdered Chris after he killed his daughter Julie, and he enjoyed every moment of it. Rick killed Dexter and made it look like a stray bullet. He killed him so that his group could continue to live in the safety of the prison. Both were murders, both for very different reasons. Tyreese to kill the person who murdered his daughter, Rick to protect the group from having to go back out on the road where safety does not exist. Both have a lot of emotions and trauma from the outbreak built up and pent up. My hope is that this fight has dissipated all of that and now they may act as upstanding citizens again, or at least be civil to each other. Other shocking news: Alan dies. I had very little hope that he would survive the bite or having his leg chopped off. He did not have any fight or desire to live after Donna died. His death felt like a matter of time. I do feel bad for his two boys, though. They have lost their mother and now their father. They're now orphans. I'm not sure who's going to take care of them now. It was another one of those rare comedic moments when Andrea came out to make that deadly announcement and saw all the madness going on between Rick and Tyreese. Lori was horrified by everything. I think this time it was genuine. I don't really find there to be much about her that is genuine. Maybe Lori will grow on me. We will see. I guess the remaining question now is whether or not Tyreese and Michonne stay at the prison. The last few scenes are positive, which rarely happens. Herschel and Michonne announced that Carl is going to be okay. Carol, that is going to be okay. They are grateful the wounds were not extremely deep. They were able to patch her up and save her. I have to wonder if Michonne helped out of guilt because her actions and choices caused Carol's suicide attempt. Thanks for tuning in to the I Love This Comic Book podcast. If you would like to make a donation in support of this podcast, you can through Cash App to Pasta26MC. That's pasta like the food, the number 2, the number 6, M as in monkey, C as in cat. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or advertise on it, please send an email to podcast@pastasworld.com. As always, you can go to pastasworld.com for more information.